Hello and welcome to episode 33 of Intruder Theatre in the Making podcast. I'm your host Remi Rachuba and thank you so much for tuning in. Now this is part 2. Part 1 was in episode 32 and episode 32 and 33 are devoted to Fringe, where I share insight, tips, advice, into the Fringe for anyone who wants to take their show to Edinburgh, but not only. Maybe you want to take your show to any other festival, maybe Vault Festival, maybe some of the things could be useful, helpful. Now I'm basing all my tips and advice on my solo play, Intruder Intrudes, that I presented at Summer Hall. I premiered it at Summer Hall last August. We got extended, and you can find all the info about the play on various social media handles, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, Intruder Play, or you can go to our website intruderplay.com. I update it quite regularly, so you can have a look and check what I put over there, and even for some latest news or some photos. I presented it at the Fringe, and soon I'm presenting it, soon, Monday and Tuesday, 5th and 6th of December at Theatre 503, so hopefully if you catch this episode before that, I'll be delighted if you came and saw the play. If not, then we're going to be at the Vault Festival 28th and 29th of January. And actually Vault Festival selected us as Vault Festival Pick of Summer Hall, which was very, very exciting. I didn't even know anything about it. So that's always good news. So yes, hopefully see you there. If you listen to the podcast, you can come to see the play, and then you can stay and say hello. I would be delighted. So in the previous episode, I talked about a couple of things: accommodation, technical run and staff, flyers, leaflets, programs, front of house, box office staff. And in this episode, I'd like to focus on press releases, promo, extension, and the industry. So that's it, and let's maybe kick off. So first of all, press and press releases. How did I go about doing it? I didn't know much about it. I didn't know how to approach journalists. It was quite an unknown thing to me. My ex-co-producer sent me a list of all the journalists that I could approach. I think it was quite a long list. I think there were like 80 or hundreds of emails and names. That was it. So back in May, I think at the end of May, even when I had COVID, I was in bed, I started sending all these press releases with a little bit of an intro email, and then attached the press release, which basically included all the creatives' bios, some info when the play is going to be on, links, the themes of the play, and that was really it. And I just copied and pasted that email to all these journalists and the emails that I had. I repeated the same thing at the end of June. Maybe I could have done the same thing, like a shorter email in July, mid-July, but I didn't do that because I was rehearsing and I was very, very busy emailing so many things, and as a writer, performer, and also producer of the show, so I had quite a lot of things on my plate. So I think I sent only 2 emails to journalists. I never got any replies. Some of the emails came back that certain email addresses didn't exist anymore. But I think if I was doing it again, maybe I could have sent 1 more email, so 3 emails. But I only did 2. Also because I think around June I saw a tweet by Lynn Gardner. And for anyone who doesn't know, Lynn Gardner is a top UK critic, highly admired woman, very nice, very approachable. And I saw her tweet where she said that she doesn't like it when PR companies target her very aggressively about Fringe shows 4 or 5 times, and she said that she's never going to go to these shows that have this very aggressive promotion, and I didn't want to be one of such people, to have that, to put someone off. Maybe this is also another reason why I sent only 2 emails. I have no idea. So yeah, I listened to Lynn's advice and I emailed her. She emailed me back. She said that she would do her best to cover my show. She never made it, but I am still in contact with her and hopefully she can come to my show at Vault Festival in January. So yes, so that was press and press releases, me approaching them. It's really up to you how you want to do it. I think if you've got enough money, you can hire a PR company and they can do all the work for you. I didn't, so I was doing it on my own. I know that certain theatre companies had hired PR companies. We had a little bit of a Zoom with Summerhall, and then we had subgroups during the Zoom, and we talked to various artists, and some of them said that they had PR companies who did all the work for them. As far as I know, Summerhall also uses a different PR company. They are called storytellingpr.com, who deals with all the press reviews. I know that they were also doing some press and PR work for some theatre shows that were at Summerhall, so you can approach them. There was a very lovely lady who works there, I think still does, Eleanor, I would recommend going to them, storytellingpr.com. They were very, very helpful. If you don't have the budget, still, if you're part of Summerhall's program in 2023 or 2024, they would be very, very helpful. And Eleanor, if she still works there, she would provide you with some tips, advice. If you need something, they would say, oh, maybe do this, do that. You never know. If you have the budget, go to them. I know they were very, very helpful when I was in Edinburgh. So that was press releases, and I sent, as I said, 2. And then it was only a matter of, going to Edinburgh and how did it really work at the Fringe with the press. When you go over there, you do get emails who requests your tickets to see your show. So I was receiving all these emails, or my car producer was receiving them, because I actually found it quite uncomfortable, seeing who's going to see my show, to be quite honest, whether it's going to be the Scotsman or, things like that, or People or newspapers like that. I found it quite uncomfortable, to be quite honest, initially to begin with, because then I didn't really mind who came to my show, especially when the reviews were out. I remember when we were premiering, so during the premiere, we had Joyce McMillan, and Joyce McMillan is a really top critic for Scotland, for the Scotsman, the newspaper, also one of the judges on one of the most prestigious awards, the Fringe First. So I know she was coming for our premiere, which was a big thing, to be quite honest. And I remember that premiere was really, really bizarre, because my friends were there, my family were there, my parents were there, and there was this critic sitting in the first row looking at me, because it's a very intimate show. So it was very, very bizarre. I wasn't very comfortable with that, and that, it's the first time you're meeting the audience. Well, the show is meeting the audience, and the reviews will be coming soon. So it was one of these things, but she came. I did email her, never got a reply. I think maybe the emails worked, But I also know that she follows some of the Scottish playwrights that I know, and they were retweeting, resharing stuff about my play. So maybe Joyce knew about my play this way. I have no idea. Well, she definitely was interested because she came for the premiere. Also, Marcus is Scottish, the director. It has Scottish themes, so maybe something for her as well. So she came for the premiere, and then who else did we have? We had a reviewer from, I think, 3 weeks. I think I talked about it last time. He came to the Polish performance, and then actually they never came back for the English performance, which was a shame. So they never wrote a review because they didn't have time. It's a shame because they would have been the only person that would have seen two language shows, but, well, what can you do? There's nothing you can do. There was a reviewer from the arts desk that came a little bit later on, and also we had a reviewer from the stage. The stage is like a really big newspaper, weekly newspaper that deals all things to do with theatre, and her name was Natasha Tripley. She came, I think, maybe during the second week. It's very interesting with the stage. The way it worked was that, because someone may be asking, Remi, how did you get the stage to come and review a show? Because it's not always easy to get these reviewers to see your show. Now, with the stage, the way it worked was that I think 2 years ago, a colleague of mine gave me details for the stage journalist Giverny Maso. I am really, really sorry if I'm mispronouncing the names. And she works for the stage, and I've been emailing her since then. And then I think in June or July she emailed me and she said that, maybe we could do like a little bit of a featurette before the Fringe on my show, which I was really, really happy about. I also know that storytelling PR people, Eleanor, that they came to London and they were pitching certain shows. So I'm not really sure whether it was just Giverny that wanted to do it, or whether storytelling PR, they also, pitched my show to her. Maybe it could be both, maybe one, I have no idea. But Giverny really wanted to have a chat about Intruder Intrudes, which was great, and they did a little bit of a featurette on it, on my play, and yes, and then what happened was, when I was at the Fringe, I emailed Giverny and I just asked whether someone from the stage could come, and Natasha, I could see the following day there was a request for a ticket from Natasha, which was great. So yes, that's how it was, and yes, Natasha was very, very nice, very, responding to emails. She wanted the press release and some photos, which was really, really great. So that was quite straightforward. And then I think during the extension we got another, like a blogger, bouquets and brickbats. Lovely people. I never knew that they were even coming until that review came up on my Twitter. Ping! And here we go, the review comes. So that was how it worked with the press. I think it was quite a lot, to be quite honest. Now, later on, when we got an extension, what else did I... Of course, I was then emailing and going to various journalists that I didn't know before. I really wanted more reviews, especially towards the extension, and then during the extension I was emailing quite a lot of people as well. But also what I did was I looked at other shows and other reviews and reviewers and who was reviewing them, and I then googled them or looked them up on Twitter, and then I certain people I direct messaged, sorry, that's the correct word, and some of them responded to journalists, some of them didn't. I think that the feature direct message is pretty good. Some people told me, you know what, Remi, we're already back in London. Thank you so much for your message. Maybe if you do your show in London, maybe we can come and see it. And actually, when I'm doing my play now at Theatre 503, I emailed them or messaged them on Twitter, and some of them will be coming. So I would say, you know what, if you don't have email addresses for people, I don't think there's nothing wrong with, direct messaging them on Twitter, or, checking something, because they do respond, and people were very, very nice, and it's a direct contact for the journalist or for the reviewer, or, some kind of a guideline towards where you can find them, or a particular place where you can find them on the website, or, I don't know, a blog that they have. So yeah, I would always go and find people in this way as well. I mean, social media. And that was really it as far as the press and press releases. I think probably I'm going to talk about it more when I talk about promo, because it kind of overlaps this whole thing. I will chip in and talk a little bit about press when I talk about promo. So press and press releases done. Now, moving on, promo, how to promote your show. How did I promote my show? What did I find out, and how did that go? So to be quite honest with you, in 2018, I had never been a big social media person. I never had any accounts on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. But then in 2018, when I was doing rehearsed readings, I was thinking, okay, maybe it would be a good idea to have some social media handles so that people actually find out something about my play, because otherwise, how would they know about it? So then I started my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. One question was whether to have a special account for my play, Intruder Play. Would my account be enough, or would I need another account for my play? That was one thing. Now, 4 years later, do I think it was useful? I'm not particularly sure. I mean, it is extra work that you need to do, because it's an account only where you put content about your play, about your project. It's extra work, extra time. If I was doing it again, would I do it again? I am not really sure. If I was doing another play, potentially, I don't know. It's a very tricky word. That's a funny word to me. Potentially no, because I know how much time I'm actually spending on it, and looking at the number of followers, the number of whether it's increasing or not. Most of the followers increase whenever I'm doing some kind of an event or going to a festival. I don't know. Potentially no, but I'm just exploring it and sharing it, because I do have a channel, Intruder Play, as I said, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, that I put extra info on. On my personal, Instagram, I don't normally put loads of stuff, because this is my private account. I do put their stuff about my play, but I don't want it to be only about my play. So that's maybe an advantage to have Facebook or Twitter, Instagram account for your play. That's one thing. So then, how did that go? So what I noticed with time was, yes, I was, promoting, doing different things, and actually, when I got accepted to perform at Summer Hall, I then noticed that I got more followers, especially on Twitter and Instagram. I was doing Polish performances, and I knew that. I think I talked about it many episodes ago, that I used to do community management for Call of Duty for the Polish community. So I knew that Polish community likes Facebook, so I knew that, okay, for Polish people, Facebook, not necessarily Twitter and Instagram. Twitter not existent in Poland. I mean, there isn't a lot of traffic. but it's a lot of traffic for UK community. As far as Instagram, it's growing. So I was also using different platforms for different communities. So then when we got accepted into Summer Hall, I noticed that I got more followers on Twitter and definitely Twitter and some on Instagram. And I found Twitter quite useful because it's very easy. You just share, you tag people, and then people reshare certain content, you hashtag certain words or places as well, and that's easier. So definitely the number of my followers was increasing from March, April on. And this is, how people promote certain things and what people do. Not as much on Instagram, Twitter. Now, it's very, very hard for me to say how it is now because we're talking March 2022. Now, with so many things different, so many different things going on with Twitter, I'm not really sure whether people are leaving Twitter, whether people are still using Twitter for promotion. I have no idea. I'm recording it now on the 1st of December, so I can't provide a lot of insight into it. So I knew that, especially for UK audiences, Twitter and Instagram would be useful, and Instagram for stories that I would definitely use and talk about it in a couple of minutes. I know that Summer Hall, not only Summer Hall, but the Fringe, I think TikTok was the official sponsor or partner. I really don't know. We had a Zoom with Summer Hall when we were talking about PR and things like that, and then we had a little bit of a talk by TikTok people telling us about how TikTok works, what you do, what you don't, how it works. To be quite honest with you, I really found it very confusing when I went on TikTok. I opened an account, but then I could hear only voices, different voices speaking, people doing various things. I did upload a couple of videos, but I really didn't see a lot of point in having a TikTok. It was me. I didn't know how it works, how I could maybe use TikTok for my play. I didn't have loads of videos from rehearsals. I don't know, after a week and a half, I actually deleted TikTok because I really didn't know how to go about it. I just didn't see a point, any point in having it. So I don't know. It was just me. Maybe if you have TikTok, use it. If it's for you, amazing. Why not? I just found Facebook, Twitter, Instagram already quite busy and quite taxing at some point. So another platform, TikTok, especially as, I didn't really have a lot of content. Maybe if someone was giving me some advice of how to use it, maybe I would have kept it, but I didn't. I deleted it. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is, promotion during the Fringe, and especially as it's interesting, and I think also it's going to work for Vault Festival. One of the techniques, or maybe one of the ways of increasing your reach is doing, I think, cross tweeting or cross promotion, I think, or barter tweets, barter promotions, whatever the name for it is. In simple terms, to be quite honest, it is when you reshare shows or info about shows from other people, and other people do the same thing for you. So I would tweet about a show, and then that show would tweet about me, which is quite useful. I found it quite enjoyable, to be quite honest. Just like a mutual sharing. I'm always all about sharing info about others, so why not? I think it's great, to be quite honest. I did get some direct messages from certain people where they asked me whether I would kind of swap tweets, which I said fine, why not, and I did that. And then I was liking content by that company, but to be quite honest with you, they never liked any of my content. So then I thought it was quite weird, to be quite honest, and then I kind of stopped doing it. I don't know. You never actually meet all the people that you share content. I mean, content. You can, yes, maybe some of them, and I did make good friends with certain people that I actually met on Twitter first, and that we actually met in person, and they were super supportive. So wonderful memories. Certain people I never met, and I never spoke to them during the Fringe, but I know this kind of mutual promotion is very nice, and I think quite generous, to be quite honest. Now, during the Fringe, what happened was, as I said, found Twitter the most useful. So maybe if I was going to the Fringe or any other festival, I would start a Twitter account. And also Instagram stories. That was really quite straightforward, and tagging and summer haul was extremely helpful. Ollie, who doesn't work over there anymore, was dealing with their social media stuff. Always super helpful, resharing info. It was, I really I am very grateful to them that they were so warm and kind to me. And when I was at the Fringe, it was just a matter of promoting, sharing stuff. As I was saying before, I had production photos, and I was putting it on social media, and then putting stuff and links and bit.ly, so making long links shorter. Bit.ly app I would always recommend downloading. It's very useful, especially for Twitter. So then, yes, Twitter and Instagram, I used it mainly for the Fringe, but also because we had Polish language shows, I used Facebook for different Polish Facebook groups and shared my content there. What else did I notice at the Fringe as far as promo? Okay, interesting trivia. So coming back to what I was saying before regarding Twitter and Instagram, I also went to quite a lot of organizations that I knew in Scotland, because I lived over there for 8 years. I went to Creative Scotland, who I got funding for in 2012. I went to my drama school, and I had, as I said, quite a lot of friends, and I know quite a lot of creatives. So actually my promotion was heavily dependent on them, which is always great because they are local folk, so they know people and they always can, tell others about it and reshare content. And it was really quite straightforward for them to reshare my tweet or put, and Twitter, as I said, is very easy for that. So I would always go to anyone who who can help you. There is. It was only me at the Fringe because we didn't have a very big team. And when you have a big team and there was, let's say, 10 people working on your show, and everyone has Twitter, then they tell their friends, and then their friends tell their friends. So you increase your reach. But I would always think of who else can help you, whether it could be your school, whether you could be an organization you work for, you do some charity work, you are a volunteer. I would really go to anyone, and I think with Twitter it was quite straightforward because you email someone and you say, would you mind tweeting about it, and they do that. With Instagram, they need to put a post. It's simple, in simple terms, or they can put a story and tag you, and that's really what happens. So I would always explore various options about regarding social media. Then what else happened was, when you are there and reviews start to come out, and it wasn't my favorite, it was my least favorite thing, to be quite honest, because very often as soon as if a review comes, they tag you in on Twitter, and then you get like bing, sound comes and you go, oh my god, here we go, a review. And so I actually deleted Twitter, and then I needed to upload it again to put some more photos, and then deleted it, and then I thought, okay, I need to have it because there was no other way that I can't be just deleting and uploading Twitter, because I have 2 accounts, so that I needed to go through verification, so I left it. But what I noticed people do, which was completely new to me, was as soon as the reviews were coming out, people or producers were cutting out their the stars from the review, like 4 stars, and they were stapling them to, let's say, leaflets or posters that we had at Summer Hall, which was kind of new to me. I didn't understand that. I was thinking, what are people doing? But then I understood, well, of course you don't want to print another poster. You just simply print the stars, 4 stars, and staple it. And then whenever there was another review, they would staple two reviews. And it was more and more and more and more for people to see that it was an amazing show. I actually didn't like that. I, to some extent, became metaphorically, allergic to the stars, because then I could see just posters full of stars. And it was just really, really weird. Most of our reviews were 3 stars. And I think it's amazing, and I was really, really pleased with our reviews. But then I was told, Remi, 3 stars, you really shouldn't be using 3 stars, because it maybe should be 4 or 5 stars, not 3 stars. So that's what it was, and so I didn't. I used just like phrases from reviews, to be quite honest. I know that certain shows, there was a show at the Travers that got 1 star, but they also got 5 stars, and I think it's great because it's very polarizing, and I love theater like that people just say it's crap or it's great. So that's great. But with Intruder, because we got 3 stars, but I got really great reviews, like me as a performer. And the reviews were great, like thought-provoking, disturbing, hard-hitting. I love words like that. I want to do theatre like that, so that was great. I also was told, Remi, maybe 3 stars. We would maybe advise not to. So I never used 3 stars, and I never put all these stars on leaflets. Actually, I didn't have any leaflets. There wasn't many posters, so I never used it. But I know people did it. You probably know that people do it. I found it new, so this is also a way of promoting your show, and it was just mainly getting along with it, mainly Twitter. One other thing that I think is also, I just remembered, is that at the very beginning of the Fringe, there was not a lot of audiences, and everyone is struggling for audiences. There will be 3 or 4 people coming to see a show, and yes, there were theatre companies that would say there was no tickets sold for tonight. I think I even said I had 3 people, and it's interesting because when you do mention it on Twitter, like I have only 3 tickets sold for tonight, for some reason others start retweeting that tweet to help you to increase the engagement or traffic, which is great. I know that there was a company that I think they tweeted there's nobody coming to the show, and then they went on the BBC, and then all of a sudden their show was sold out. I would always say don't hesitate to mention that you have only 2 tickets sold, because then actually that can increase, and you can have more people. You can even mention it to box office staff. They were super helpful, and they will really encourage people to see your show. So that was Twitter and Instagram, and I think that's really it as far as promo. As I was saying, I will talk about it more when I now talk about extension, because that overlaps with promo and what happened there. But I think as far as promoting your show, I would always say maybe Twitter and Instagram stories useful. So then moving on into the extension of the run. How did that come about, and were there any disadvantages and advantages of that? So when I was doing my show, we initially planned that I will be only there for a week and a half till the 14th of August. Then when I was performing, I had such a great time doing it that I kind of felt, you know what, if I actually stop now, it would be like the plane plummets into the sea, and I actually wanted to land at an airport. So I thought, well, maybe I could explore having an extension, doing it a little bit longer. So I then approached and emailed Tom, the programmer from Summer Hall, who emailed me, and he said it was towards the end of my run, and audiences were increasing. And then Tom said, Remi, we actually need to explore when we could do it and which space, because I was doing it in the demonstration room, but then because we planned it only till the 14th, then after me, when I finished performing, there was another company coming and performing their show in my space at the time. So we needed to find another space which would be similar, like a lecture room, and actually what time. So there was another room, anatomy room, that was available, but we were not really sure whether the company that was performing there, they also wanted an extension. So I think there was a conversation to be had whether they were going ahead with that extension, but then I think it turned out that they were not. And then we kind of took their spot because they were leaving. They didn't decide to go. They didn't extend, or they left Summer Hall. And anatomy room became available. It was a different time. It was, I think, around 8:20. Initially we were at 3 in the demonstration room, and then it would be in the anatomy room at 8:20, completely different time. So it was possible, and then Tom emailed me on Sunday, on the very final day of my performances, the first batch, saying that we could go ahead with the extension, which was amazing. I was really, really pleased. And then Monday was the day off for everyone. Tuesday we would go into tacking the show into the new in the anatomy room with the new technician, because my old technician, they were working on another show at 8 o'clock, so they couldn't do it, and then we needed to rehearse the show with a new technician. So we did it on Tuesday and started doing the run on Wednesday. And then we did it for a week and a half. The space was the same, maybe slightly smaller. I really, really enjoyed performing it in that space. But then one day I went to see a show in the demonstration room, in the room that I had been performing originally, and I loved that space. I actually thought then that space was meant for me, and I knew I was meant to perform in that space that was in the demonstration room. Now, you may be thinking and asking, Remi, decide which word, what time was better? Was it 3 o'clock? Was 8:20? Well, you know what, to be quite honest with you, I really liked 8:20. If I was to choose which time, I think I would have gone maybe for 3 o'clock. For some reason, it was halfway through the day. In the morning, I could do my warm up, then head for Summer Hall, do the show, and then the rest of the afternoon and evening I had to myself. 8:20, I then had the whole day, which was also great. But then I couldn't see loads of stuff, and then when I did my show, I then went straight home. I mean, I'm talking about the show at 8:20. So probably I would have done the show at 3 o'clock. Also because it's not very busy. 8:20, it's a busy time. And there was loads of people who come there, and, they want to see their favorite shows. So they may not come to see your show. The good thing about having a show also at the same time when you have very busy shows is that the busy shows are sold out, and then box office staff can direct the audiences to your show. So that's always a good thing. One of the things that we all needed to be aware of, and Summer Hall staff were super, super helpful, Tom especially, and Ollie and everyone. Tom emailed everyone and said, okay, we're going with the extension for Remi, but we really need to boost promotion, because to be quite honest with you, we were not in the program anymore. Like, we were not existent. Nobody knew about us. So we needed to increase our visibility on social media. Ollie was very, very helpful, the social media person from Summer Hall, like putting info about Intruder Intrudes, or resharing, or putting on stories. No, they really did their utmost best to promote the show, and I was really, really happy. And you can also see in audiences, I mean, the first half of our run, the first run till the 14th, audiences were growing. There were like 30 or like 40 people in the audience, and then the second run, like half of the Fringe, it was building the audiences from scratch, because it was like a new run. So it started with 1 or 3 people, and then it was 8 and 10 or more. And then towards the end, there was hardly any people, because everyone had gone home. So then we were promoting, as I said, more and more. 2 things I want to talk about is postering, and then to the end of the Fringe. As I was saying, there was no audiences towards the end, and which, it can be disheartening, because you want people to come, but then it was the end, so people are going home. But the way I approached it was, I'm not really sure if I didn't talk about it before, but maybe I can repeat it. I used it for our social media content. So me and the new technician, if we didn't have any people in the audience, I would say, okay, why don't we use this hour to maybe record certain clips, videos, to put on social media. Even today I posted something from Summer Hall that we recorded, because otherwise you wouldn't have any content. So I always tried to make the most of our time to take some photos, do a scene here and there, and maybe it could be useful. One other thing about postering, so when I got extended, as I said, I didn't have any stars, or I didn't do any of the stapling on my posters, and then we agreed with Summer Hall staff that I would go around Summer Hall and check my posters. So where are my posters? How can I maybe increase my visibility and tell people about it? Because, people still see them in toilets and various places. And actually, when I went and checked on Intruder posters, I couldn't find many. There was, I think, one outside, one in one toilet, but that was really it. There was supposed to be 5 posters, but I couldn't see any. I have no idea what happened, so I reported it back to the team, and they changed my posters. They put them in different places, maybe added some of them. It was interesting because, I really didn't feel like I needed to check my posters because I didn't really know where they were. But then only when I was doing my extension, I wanted to put a little bit of a piece of paper and say, to say, run extended, so that people know. And then when I started going around Summerhall and checking where my poster is, I couldn't find many. Actually, I found quite a lot of companies, posters for a play in quite a lot of places. So I don't believe Summerhall put them. Maybe theatre companies put them in toilets and all over, because there were certain companies that definitely had more posters than others, like big posters. I don't know. Maybe if you go to a venue and they have a deal with posters, maybe also check that your posters are there or where they are, so you know what's happening. And also in this way I increased my visibility for Intruder, because then the posters were in more places, which was great. Also we had a trailer playing in the foyer at Summerhall, because we do have a trailer, so that was also helpful. And also now, it's interesting, because whenever I say now that we got extended at Summerhall, everyone says, wow, it's amazing, wonderful, which I didn't really think about it then. But now, would I recommend you do half a run and then ask for an extension? Potentially, because then it can bear fruit, later on when you are touring your show, and you can use it and say extend a run, because now I can see it makes a difference. It makes, people go, wow, oh my God, it's amazing that you got extended. And I'm grateful to Summerhall for offering it and helping me. Now, but I can't really say that, maybe you should just do half of the Fringe and then ask for an extension, because that particular venue may not have a free room, or it may not be possible. I was really very lucky to have been given that opportunity. But yes, it definitely works in your favor when it is extended, because just the whole idea of getting extended, people are really impressed. I didn't even think that it would work that way. So that's really the extension. And yes, I talked about promo, and then journalists, and then press releases, and everything. So I think that's really all about that. And finally, the industry. I'm just looking at the time. It's been 46 minutes. Quite long. I think you can bear with me. Industry, interesting things. Just industry meaning, contacting casting directors, maybe other directors, people you really admire and respect. I think everyone, even at Summerhall, there were people that I've heard about, and I approached them and I said hello. That was great. It's like the camaraderie. It's amazing, and it's wonderful. We were there, and you at the Fringe, and it's all about theatre. And some people are approachable, some people are less approachable. It is what it is. I emailed quite a lot of people about my show. I direct messaged people who were directors who I knew were at the Fringe. Some responded to my messages, some didn't, some got them 5 days later, and they said they would never come to my show because they are busy, or they had already left London. I know that you can go to Edinburgh Fringe office, and they, if you're thinking of maybe touring, you can go there, and they can give you a list of programmers that are at the Fringe, and you can email them. I was very, very busy, so I only did it towards the end of the Fringe, and when I did email them, quite a lot of people just emailed me back saying, Remi, we're already back at home. But I think it's nice to have a list, direct contact for them, so I would always recommend you going to at Fringe office, or even emailing them. I think I emailed them and they sent me that Excel sheet with all the email addresses. I normally approach people individually, so whoever I want to invite, I just email them or direct message them, and I don't think people find it hard or difficult. Why not? I did quite a big mail out to casting directors, even in London. I did get quite a few emails like congratulating me on my summer hall run. Interesting trivia, I saw quite a lot of tweets from casting directors saying that they were going to the Fringe, and I remembered who they were, so I emailed them, and then I would get replies saying, okay, we'll see what happens. Or I would get a reply saying, I'm actually during the Fringe towards the end. And then, well, I didn't know at the time that I would be doing an extension. So then when I got extended, I emailed them again, the casting director that was to be there for the second half of the Fringe, and then they never emailed me back. But that's another interesting thing funny. I find it funny, let's be quite honest. There was a casting director she's based at Summerhall, and I emailed her, and when I emailed her, I got an automated reply saying that she was on annual leave. And then when she came back, and that was literally when we got extended, that Monday when everyone had a day off, she emailed me back and said that, thank you so much for your email, but I just got from my annual leave, so I wouldn't be able to see your show. I hope it went well. But by that time I knew that I was extended, the show was extended, so I emailed her right away because I got it on my email on my phone, and I said, oh, no worries, but we got an extension, so you will be able to see it for another 2 weeks. But after that email, I never heard back. So that's casting directors for you, some of them, at least, or one of them, or two of them. So you never know. You want people to come to see your show, but they want to see it. They don't want to see it. They don't have time. It's how it works. But most of the time, I had very nice encounters with people. One of the most interesting encounters I had was with Tim Crouch. Tim Crouch, a very famous playwright performer who received first Fringe, and I've heard quite a lot of things about him, so I really wanted him to see my play. And I emailed him. I found his website and I emailed him, and I think I emailed him on Friday, and then he direct messaged me on Twitter on Sunday, and I was so happy. And Tim said that he wouldn't be able to see my show because actually he had his show, I think, around the same time, something like that. It was finished. Well, it was finishing. He messaged me on Sunday, and then I think he was saying that his show is at 8:00, and then my extension was at 8:00. So we clashed, and then Monday and Tuesday were coming off. So he said, "Oh, I wouldn't be able to see it." And I said, "Well, thank you so much for even tweeting, direct messaging me." And that's all. Now on Monday, I was planning to see a play by Ivo van Hove, a renowned director who was coming to Edinburgh International Theatre Festival with the play 3.5. hours it took. A little life. I think it was a little life. I'm just live. Yeah, a little live that is going to be done in London 2023 with the English speaking cast. And so I've seen his stuff, amazing. So I booked tickets, and then on Monday when I'm sitting, there were seats on stage, and when I'm sitting on stage, I actually see Tim Crouch like walking on the stage, and I'm thinking, oh my god, is it actually Tim Crouch who direct messaged me, yesterday? And actually I see him coming, and then he sits in the same row that I'm sitting, 2 seats like next to me, empty seats. So I actually couldn't believe it. So I googled him in front of him, thinking, is it actually Tim Crouch sitting next to me, who I messaged me yesterday? And then it was him. So I approached him and I said, Tim, I'm sorry, my name's Remi, but we were messaging, and Tim was like, oh my god, Remi, yes, I remember. And I said, I know it's quite bizarre, I'm sitting next to you, but we didn't know that you would be here. And we watched the play together, and we chatted. It was so nice. And then we said goodbye, and we're still in contact on Twitter. So you never know who you're gonna meet. I always say, email people, speak to them, approach them when you're at the Fringe or any other festival. And you never know what can happen. You can be sitting next to them at some point at a performance. So that was industry, and yes, everything that I wanted to share. So press releases, promo, the extension and industry, and that's all. It's about how long? Let me see. 56 minutes. I thought it would be 30 minutes. I wanted to talk about my experience of performing at the Fringe and my reflections, but I think that's going to be for next time, next episode, and also talking about what's been happening with Intruder since then. Quite a lot of exciting things, but also recording a podcast episode on some drama that is unveiling. That was to be next episode, but the drama is still unveiling, and I'm not really sure when it's going to finish. Hopefully soon, in December, January. I think it's going to be quite an eventful thing to talk about it. Not very happy, but well, it is what it is, and it's part of my journey. But next episode, potentially, maybe in January, I will talk more about my reflections on the Fringe, and then what's been happening since then with Intruder. Until then, stay well, stay safe, and speak soon. Bye for now.